Hey guys, and welcome to another species profile video. I don't really need to give T-Rex an introduction, do I? Being arguably the most famous dinosaur, if not the most famed prehistoric creature ever, its reputation is beyond that of any other dinosaur. For those who are less familiar with this animal, let me give you a quick introduction. As long as a school bus and as heavy as 2 or 3 African bush elephants, Tyrannosaurus was one of the largest predatory dinosaurs ever to live, as well as one of the last. It had a bite force that could literally crush bone at more than 35,000 newtons, though estimates vary. It was a carnivore and likely took down massive animals like the famous Triceratops. All of these attributes earned it the nickname the King of the Dinosaurs. Now that we've covered the simple statistics, we're going to zoom in and evaluate each part of it. First and foremost, those jaws. Tyrannosaurus Rex had a massive skull, measuring between 1.1 and 1.5 meters long. That's almost as long as you are tall. Its teeth were built for crushing bone, able to shatter most opponents' defenses with a single chomp. These teeth ranged in length, but the largest ones were longer than some bananas at 30 centimeters. Despite being able to pulverize bony prey, these fangs were by no means blunt. They would have been sharp and even serrated, able to cut through flesh and tendons as easily as a steak knife. Tyrannosaurus had excellent binocular vision as its eyes faced forward on its skull. This meant that it could evaluate ambush distances and positioning before attacking. Scientists estimate that T-Rex had vision up to 13 times sharper than our own. So yes, Alan Grant, it can't see us if we don't move was a death sentence. Tyrannosaurus also had an excellent sense of smell, probably the best of any predatory dinosaur. It had very large olfactory bulbs, the part of the brain dedicated to scent. This allowed it to sniff out rivals and prey from very far away. Chances are, when a grazing Triceratops caught the scent of hungry 40-foot killer in the air, the Tyrannosaurus was already in ambush mode. T-Rex was also incredibly intelligent for a large theropod, despite its brain being developed for sensory superiority. It probably was at least as intelligent as modern crocodiles and birds, which might sound feeble until you realize that crocodiles are able to use basic tools, like deliberately balancing small sticks and branches on the snouts to conceal themselves from drinking prey, only to jump out at the last moment. These tactics, possibly being used by a 12-meter beast with the strongest bite force of any terrestrial large animal ever to exist. Let's just say its prey was well and truly cooked. T-Rex had a short but thick neck, typical of an animal accustomed to using brute force rather than finesse to subdue prey. It obviously had to be powerful enough to move T-Rex's enormous head around, as well as providing the behemoth with a greater reach. Tyrannosaurus was actually surprisingly agile, able to turn rather quickly. It's funny how we imagine large animals as cumbersome things, but if you look at any elephant today, you will be startled by how fast they can whisk themselves around. T-Rex stood on 2 legs, so it would have been able to pivot around pretty fast, rapidly presenting its opponents with those massive jaws. Tyrannosaurus had small arms, as we all probably know. They were more or less the same size as a human arm, but were immensely powerful. Each arm was capable of lifting over 200 kilos, which meant that it could probably pick up a person with those titchy arms. So did T-Rex deserve all those memes, all that mockery? Absolutely no. T-Rex was very chunky, and by that I mean an absolute unit. It was probably a little shorter in length on average than the largest carcharodontosaurids, such as Giganotosaurus, as well as Spinosaurus from the Spinosauridae. However, it was a lot more robust than either of these animals, possessing a wide rib cage and sturdy, powerful legs. To power such a beast would have required massive quantities of muscle and tissue, perhaps allowing this animal to weigh around 9 or 10 metric tons. This is one of the heaviest realistic weight estimates for a theropod, and this is why the modern consensus confirms that Tyrannosaurus Rex was the heaviest land predator ever. Well, for now, as we might discover a heavier one in the future. Who knows? T-Rex's legs were long in proportion to its body, even for a theropod. This attribute might explain why scientists thought of T-Rex as a powerful sprinter that could reach 30 to 40 miles an hour. But now this is outdated information. You see, the larger an animal gets, the more difficult it becomes to sprint at a high speed. Furthermore, recent studies have shown that T-Rex's leg muscles might have been very well adapted for long-distance walking or power walking after prey. It's entirely possible, even likely, that Tyrannosaurus couldn't run in the first place. A running gait would have generated structural loads exceeding the limit that its legs could bear. Any attempt to break into a run might therefore have resulted in fractured bones. So therefore we estimate that T-Rex might have had a top speed of around 12 to 20 miles an hour. That is not to say that younger Tyrannosaurus were incapable of running. Specimens of juvenile Tyrannosaurus Rex have been shown to have had a more gracile build, meaning that though young T-Rex would have probably been able to sprint, adults likely relied on long-distance pursuit or ambushes rather than running down prey. T-Rex had a very long tail, around 15 to 20 feet long, which is about half of the animal's total length. It would have been heavy and muscled, balancing Tyrannosaurus's heavy front half. It also would have been an attachment point of T-Rex's massive leg muscles, allowing the animal to turn incredibly quickly. Tyrannosaurus was built like a brawler, able to tackle massive prey due to its absurd bite force. And it was made like this for a reason. Triceratops, a gigantic herbivorous dinosaur with 1.2-meter long horns and a thick bony shield for a frill, was on T-Rex's menu. If it could kill the beast in the first place, that is. Triceratops probably weighed upwards of 10 tons, perhaps even heavier than the mighty T-Rex. Agile for its size and extremely powerful, it was unlikely that a T-Rex would risk attacking a healthy adult Triceratops head-on. The odds were just too low of killing the animal without receiving serious injury. Going to bed hungry was definitely better than going to bed eternally. That said, hungry and desperate Tyrannosaurus might have attacked Triceratops with a weaker sense of self-preservation, but the fight could literally go both ways. Ankylosaurus, another animal that lived in the same place and time, was also very difficult prey. Covered in bony armor and scutes, not to mention the 20-kilo tail club, it was very hard for T-Rex to get a bite in without receiving a mighty bonk from that club. As a result, Tyrannosaurus had to really work very hard to get a meal. Edmontosaurus, a hadrosaur, was relatively unarmored, but was large and heavy enough to trample and kill a careless tyrannosaur. It's very possible that Tyrannosaurus would have prioritized hunting juvenile, old, or sick dinosaurs instead of going for a healthy adult. T-Rex lived in the late Cretaceous 66 million years ago, and if I wanted to list all the representations of T-Rex in the media, I'd be here for another 66 million years. That's why I'll just show you some of the more famous ones. The first ever depiction of the dinosaur in a movie was in the 1918 short film, The Ghost of Slumber Mountain. These representations were of a kangaroo-like monster, as scientists used to think that T-Rex supported itself using its tail. A few more notable appearances of T-Rex include the cartoonish character in The Land Before Time, as well as a fairly accurate version in the 1999 documentary Walking with Dinosaurs. It was decent for the time, but the Walking with Dinosaurs model was moderately shrink-wrapped, and the skull shape was a little off. The same could be said for the Jurassic franchise's version, both in the movies as well as the games. However, this inaccurate representation is likely the most famous one. Arguably the best T-Rex model belongs to prehistoric planet, with concealed teeth and some of that tyrannosaur fuzz. Almost every game that has anything to do with dinosaurs right now includes T-Rex. Saurian, a game dedicated to the Hell Creek Formation in which the beast was discovered, has a very nice one, lips and all. Path of Titans and The Isle also have some decent models, though perhaps a little stylized. Many other games like The Cursed Isle, Prehistoric Kingdom, and Ark Survival Evolved also include this behemoth. Alright, I've completed my drawing now, and I think it looks pretty good. It's the first theropod I've drawn with separate scales, as well as scars from previous fights. I have included the bony ridge that might have been visible above the eyes, as well as the lips that would have covered its teeth when the jaw was closed. I might have drawn the eyes a little too far forward. Perhaps the leg area could use a slight retouch with regards to lighting, but I believe it's pretty good otherwise. Thanks for watching until the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video or like the Paleoart, please leave a like. Also, if you want to see more of these kind of videos in the future, why not consider subscribing? Thank you, and see you in the next one.